Yes, guys, how's it going? Welcome back to All for United. Me, on a matching show, I only come here for the wins. I'm a glory sport, aren't I? United have just beaten Villarreal by 2-1 to get our first win in the Champions League, first points in the Champions League in dramatic fashion. A terrible first half, followed by a much improved second half, thanks to an Alex Telles thunder twat. Yes, that is what I'm calling it. And that man, Mr. Inevitable, Mr. Champions League himself, he saw us heading towards the Europa League and went, nah, fuck that, I'm putting this in the back of the net. Cristiano Ronaldo comes up with the goods again. Make sure you're in the comments. Make sure to smack that like button if you're Ronaldo. Let's get involved. Get involved in the comments. What did you make of the game? And I will see you, of course, after
the Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
We're going to win that. No, I'm not going to do it just yet. How you all doing? Welcome to the match reaction. This is Manchester United Villarreal 1. I'm lagging already. My internet's that excited about this win. I'm lagging already. How are we all doing, guys? Marcus, I'm going to go straight to you first. How are you feeling after that?
Mixed emotions, man. Mixed emotions. You know, I put out a tweet saying Ronaldo ghosted, and imagine if this is Martial, and then he goes and scores. It's almost like the guy's reading my tweets, you know? But no, mixed emotions, because the way I look at it is this, right? You've got to give credit where credit is due. Obviously, we won the game at the end of the day, but that performance, man, that was very dicey. Against a team like Villarreal at home at Old Trafford, it's a team that we definitely should be beating, and not just beating, but putting in a good performance. And granted, we did improve in the second half, and there were some positives, obviously, but I just think it wasn't good enough from just looking at the performance itself. But I'm glad we got the 3 points. That's the most important thing. Off the back of the results against Young Boys and Everton, a loss or a draw today was simply unacceptable. So, you know, at least we got over the line. And who better than Mr. Champions League himself, Cristiano Ronaldo, to seal it in stoppage time? Not even like towards the edge, just in stoppage time. The last kick of the game, it had to be Ronaldo.
Fergie time.
Yeah.
Time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, we will dive into the performance in a bit, but I just want to get the general reaction to that result. Tom, we'll go to you next. How important is that win? Because we needed that today, didn't we?
It's important on so many different levels. One, just the points in the Champions League. Obviously, losing our first group game, there's the importance of that. It's the importance for Solskjaer, losing 3 games in a row. Well, could have been 4 games in a row. It would have been an absolute disaster for him. I don't think his job would have been on the line in the immediate future, but there's no hiding from the pressure that would have brought. So huge pressure. Not only the performance wasn't there, but to be able to sort of not come back, but sort of to overcome that sort of late pressure and sort of get the job done was huge. So important for so many reasons, but United, and which we'll get into, will differentiate the result and differentiate the performance, but just so vital in terms of the moment. Like, because could you imagine what the reaction would have been? One, if we drew, but especially if we lost, the reaction would have been unbelievable. And in my opinion, I'm quite positive, but you could understand the reaction would have been rightly shocking.
Yeah, and in that kind of game, Was, is it just important to get that win? Because before the game, we were all sort of saying, you know, it's a must win. We just have to get this win. Not even just for the Champions League, but for the squad's sort of morale in general. We needed that, didn't we?
Yeah, obviously, I echo what the lads have said. A win. You've got the win. That's important. A result, obviously, in the Champions League is important. But then, if you look at, obviously, we're going to break down the performance. We conceded 4 big chances against Villarreal. This is a Villarreal team that sits 11th in La Liga, and also with Villarreal, they've drawn 5, so they don't necessarily create a lot. And we were so open first half. We went from one extreme from McFred to Bruno Fernandes and Pogba in midfield. The space they vacated was too much. Even with Delo, which we'll probably touch on, he was isolated. There was no one in that right-hand channel, as in even like a Fred or, for example, whoever, like Pogba, because both of them were, Fernandes and Pogba were advanced. It left a massive space there. Green was playing almost as an inverted striker. So then Delo was isolated. Obviously, I'm happy when Ronaldo scored. Even Teller's goal was amazing. But I don't know what the ends mean is. And I think that's important. I think it's important because it's almost a cycle. We'll always have players that will score. We'll always have players that might bail us out. But what's the end result? We're just going in a cycle for me at the moment.
Okay, yeah, let's get into the performance then. Guys in the comments, make sure to come and share your thoughts. If you're new here, make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe, of course. First half, not great at all. Villarreal were by far the better team. I thought I got a lot of stick for saying this, but I thought the midfield on the ball wasn't terrible. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'll go to Marcus first. What did you make of the first half in terms of us on the ball? We'll get to defensively later, but us on the ball, how did you think we did?
Yeah, I thought we were very frustrating on the ball, and I think the key factor for me to differentiate with Manchester United is like differentiating the way we play as opposed to individual performances. Because a lot of the time Bruno Fernandes gets a hard time, right? Because he goes for the risky passes, he makes quite frankly silly decisions, and he gets ahead of himself, right? And today, what I saw in the first half was everyone was going for long balls, and like I've been trying to point out for a long time, that's clearly a tactical thing. So you can't say this player was wrong for going for a long ball, or this player played too many long balls, or that player takes too many risks, because it's clearly a tactical thing. They've clearly been instructed to do it. You can tell by the way Ronaldo kind of goes in for the dummy runs and Bruno goes in for the dummy runs, right? Like the runs in behind. So I thought the first half was,
which you could understand with Ronaldo's aerial ability.
Yeah, I definitely can understand it. And like I've always said, for me, if it works, it works. I'm not going to knock it if it works, right? But so I don't think the midfield was bad at all. I really don't. If anything, if you want to criticize, our progression of the ball going forward, you need to look at what we're doing as a team and what our identity is, right? So I very much do agree with you. And I think that will upset a lot of people. I don't think Pogba and McTominay were bad today. Yes, McTominay, he kind of went ghost, he didn't really affect the game that much, but he wasn't bad. He was all right. And I was happy with him. He did what he needed to do. And I think Pogba, he also did what he needed to do. I think the bigger question mark for me is, what are we doing as a team, as opposed to, is it this person's fault? Is it this person's fault? Because I can't fault any specific individuals today, right? And we'll obviously get to the defense later. But in terms of on the ball, I can't fault anyone. I just think it's a system issue.
We went 4-3-3 today, Tom. I personally like that shape. I personally think that's the shape we'll go with, or we should go with going forward, provided we have the right personnel. For me, I tweeted it at some point during the game. I thought that the positions Pogba and Bruno were taking up were good. Because our wingers weren't holding width, it was creating an issue for us. Do you agree with that? What did you make of the system?
Yeah, I think in terms of the width, I've had this discussion before, I think, and it's not a criticism of Mason Greenwood, but I think just the way Mason Greenwood plays on the right-hand side, look, he's fantastic. He's going to have a huge future, whether that be on the right or a central position. I think on the right, it does limit us, and we've seen that with Pogba on the left, not so much today. Obviously, Jadon Sancho is out there, but when Paul Pogba's on the left, I think we have the same issue over there. So that's a systematic issue. That's something Solskjaer needs to work out. But I thought our width issue came from, and again, not to be too critical of the players, but Dalot and Tellez, obviously not quite match fit. They've been a little bit sort of underdone in that regard. And also they had two good wingers up against them. So I think Tellez and Dalot were quite hesitant to go forward. And sort of because when they were going forward, they were getting done on the counter, especially on Diogo Dalot's side. So you can understand their hesitancy in getting forward and joining that attack, which if you don't have your fullbacks overlapping and creating that width, it does sort of keep little things narrow. So I think we're critical of Sancho and Greenwood and the way we're playing in terms of today, and we weren't creating that width, but I think that is a lot down to the fullbacks. But given the context and how difficult a challenge it was for them it's their first game in a while, they're up against good oppositions. I remember Diogo Dalot was getting absolutely roasted in the first half, and he was criticised for that, and rightly so. However, if that's Jadon Sancho going past their right back, we're saying that's fantastic play by Jadon Sancho. Their left winger had a good game. In the Champions League football, if the opposition has a good game, it's going to be a tough night. So Diogo Dalot dealt with it well while having a so-called poor game. He got through it, and so there is a systematic issue in terms of the width going forward. But I think given the context, it was a tough situation for our fullbacks tonight.
Yeah, and obviously, as I said, we'll get into that because I think that is something that needs to be discussed because, a lot of people criticise Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I think we saw today some of the benefits he gives us and maybe a few people might change their opinions on that. Was, what did you make of the system that we went with today in terms of McTominay sitting on his own and later on we brought Matic on? Did you feel we did a lot better when Matic came on, or did you think it was sort of just a sort of plug the gap sort of thing we did, or do you think that's what we should do? That two pivot is what we need to do?
I'll be honest. I don't think the Pogba and Bruno Fernandes midfield. I don't think it's sustainable. If we're that open against Villarreal, imagine against better teams in the Premier League. So with Fernandes and Pogba, ideally they need a world-class number 6 in which we don't have a Rice, a Kante, and so on. So that's one issue. And then also how we're coached, we're not very necessarily a team that keeps the ball in that middle third or retains it for Pogba and Bruno to advance. We're very direct, and because we're direct, we turn the ball over, and that's when they were counter-attacking. And that's where Tom made a great point regarding Delo. It's because Mason Greenwood's on the right wing, he's going to cut in. So that means Delo has to provide the width. And that's meaning Delo has to push forward. That's why I wanted Sancho on the right, because he provides more natural width and Delo can sit a bit.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a concern. But yeah, I don't think the 4-3-3, especially with our personnel, is sustainable, to be honest. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think with our current personnel, we're going to struggle with it a little bit. I'm going to bring Neil in for this one. He's just arrived at the backstage. Here he is. Neil's in. Neil, I'm going to ask you this question because we have our obviously we have our private AFU chat, and we were discussing the fullbacks, and you were very critical of them. So, what did you make of their performances today?
Well, they were terrible, weren't they? I mean, you can't deny it. I mean, you look on Twitter, you look at by any stretch, they were both poor. I mean, he scored a wonder goal, Tellez, but you want defenders to defend first and foremost. People have slagged Wan-Bissaka off, but you're trying to tell me Dalot's better at crossing the ball than Wan-Bissaka based on today? I mean, he was clueless. I mean, he looked a better player. I've never seen him look that bad, to be honest. Dalot was appalling. Defensively, we were really, really struggling. I just thought the fullbacks. He'd got no choice with the fullbacks, but obviously Emery had worked out they could fill the boots. I mean, they should have been out of sight at half time. They should have been maybe 3 up, and you couldn't have sat back and said, well, United have been a bit unlucky. I think it was 30 odd minutes before the keeper actually had a save to make. So it's a fantastic result in terms that it's a 2-1, but is it papering over the cracks? That's the question I ask myself. You know, you can look at this any way you want, but I'm probably older than all of you 5 put together. 4, that's how old I am. I thought there was 5 of us, of counting myself. But I don't think that type of performance is sustainable, given the games we've got coming up and the games that we have to win. Because when that Champions League group was drawn, you looked at that and you went, I'll take that all day long. And then we lose to young boys, and then suddenly our backs are against the wall. And I know people have had a pop at Chelsea losing to Juventus and stuff. I don't give a shit what any other team does. I only care about what my team does on a week-to-week basis because they're the only ones I care about. So, you know, I think we're papering over the cracks here. I still think there's some major issues at this club that were fully exposed by, and I did listen to Mr. Analytics. Can I call you Mr. Analytics, or do you want to be called Analytics? I don't know. It's all right. You'll get to know. You'll get to know quite quickly. I'm a bit of a prick. So, but he was correct in. You know, I listened to what he said. I think they've drawn. I know you said 5. I think I'd heard earlier that they've drawn 7 and won 1, and they sit mid-table in an absolutely piss-poor Spanish league. Piss-poor Spanish league. And let's be honest, that Spanish league is dreadful. And they're only mid-table in it. So that's my opening statement. Luckily for you, I've had no wine and no medication yet. So luckily for you, I'm around for the duration of the show.
Right. No, on the fullbacks though, I mean, a lot of the Villarreal threat came from Danjuma on their left-hand side. Marcus, do you think that Dalot performance now? obviously, I think Tom has a point in that there was a good bit of play from him in Danjuma as well, but I think there were a few errors that Dalot made. Like, for example, I spotted in a 1v1, his whole body shape was wrong when he was defending. He was showing him towards the spacing behind him rather than into a corner where he can go win the ball. Basics like that. Do you think that's what's going to make people realize the value of Aaron Wan?
Yeah, I think the thing is yeah, I definitely think so. I think the thing is with Dalot for me is I've always said that Dalot is a player who definitely has a lot of gears to go through. I think today was not an accurate representation of how good he actually is. I think positionally he was just awful. I think the only time he really did okay was when it was that situation where it was a 2v1 and he kind of like held his shape and basically forced Villarreal, to make a mistake. But apart from that, he didn't really do anything that great, and he didn't really do anything that stood out. And it's fair to criticize Dalot, but my thing is, he was never going to come in today and have a good performance, right? Like, what do you expect from a player who barely plays, never gets an opportunity in the team, never gets a chance to adapt to the tempo of whether it be the Champions League or the Premier League? He's hardly played football at Manchester United over the last couple of years. And yes, he was on loan to AC Milan, but even before that, he never got a chance in the team. So it's, I'll say the same thing about Telles. For me, I'm willing to be patient with these players and give them the opportunities to make mistakes, because there's so many other players in this team who are not perfect, yet they get a free pass. And yes, Wan-Bissaka, what he offers defensively is very valuable. But if we're being honest, there's been times where Wan-Bissaka has been caught out on the back post. There's been times when Wan-Bissaka hasn't closed down his man and he's letting an easy cross. Yes, his slide tackling is amazing. His 1v1 defending is phenomenal, but he hasn't been that good in the last few weeks. So I think, it's a tough one with Dalot. I don't really care. I'm willing to give him the time. And I know that might upset some people, but genuinely speaking, I think there's bigger issues in the team than Dalot. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, there is a person in the comments named Lobo Estepario. He's going absolutely mental in these comments, but I'm not overly asked because he's getting our interactions up. So cheers for commenting. There is a sensible comment. We should beat these teams, so we shouldn't be surprised that we've beaten Villarreal. But Tom, they did play well, didn't they? I mean, we can say we were bad because we were, but they did actually play some good football at times, didn't they?
Yeah, I think we often forget that there are two teams in a game. We always look in our own backyard and criticise United or praise United, and rightly so. But there is another opposition, and they're full of professional footballers. Okay, we can have a debate, and Neil's completely right in terms of the quality of the Spanish league this season or in recent seasons. But the fact is that they're still a professional outfit with some good footballers, and obviously a very tactical, astute manager. So, yes, United were poor across the pitch in regards to performance. But at the end of the day, they're, like I said with the Jadon Sancho thing, we can criticise our fullbacks, and rightly so. But if that's our winger going past a fullback, we're saying what fantastic play. And when it's a winger going past our fullback, we're criticising the fullback. We only look at our half of the field. And look, that's been a fan, rightly so. But you do have to give credit. And look, yeah, everyone's right in saying Villarreal should have had a few goals and maybe should have been out of sight at half time. That's football. We've been in that situation many times where we haven't taken our chances and we're not. We haven't put the game to bed at half time. That is football at this level. You need to take your chances. United took their chances. Villarreal didn't. And at the end of the day, whatever happens in May, no one's going to be talking about this game against Villarreal at the end of September. Whether we win or lose at the end of the season, it's just one of those games that happens. And just happy we're on the winning side of it for once, because we needed a win. It was very important.
Well, the important thing after wins like this is to build on them. But whilst we're seeing a worrying little trend here from United where we're struggling to break teams down, and I know it's not a new trend, but this season just feels a lot worse for some reason. Like last season we saw it. Oh, sorry, I've lagged a little bit. Last season we saw it quite bad, and it was really worrying. But this season it seems worse, does it?
Yeah, it feels very disjointed at the moment. The problem is it does start from the manager. It's the manager's. I know people don't like the words, but philosophy, system, identity. We switched from McFred to Pogba and Fernandes in one weekend, a few days, whatever. And that's the problem. It's like it's not suitable for the players as well, because they're playing multiple positions. Pogba's going left mid to left attacking mid to centre mid, and he's constantly changing. You can't build chemistry with the players around. You can't build relationships, and I think that's the issue as well. Even like when Gary Neville touched on, well, and a lot of fans have mentioned it, but we will score in moments. We've got the footballers, but the problem is, as Neil said, is the it's the sustainability. We can't continue to play like that and not get caught out. We were fortunate against Wolves. We were fortunate in other games. And the thing is, now we've got the players. We had the summer to address the defensive midfielder. They chose not to get one. Ollie said Varane and Sancho. He's got his players. They got the players they targeted. All the fan base, whether it's yourself or bigger names than us, every single one mentioned it. These I know, like, Ollie's not on Twitter, but Mike Phelan sees these tweets. They know who like Mike Phelan's been on other people's channels. Like, do you get what I mean? They know what the fan base are asking for. It's now going through the press conferences where Ollie's actually been asked on Gary Neville's comments and so on. And I just feel it's too much like on the day, win the game. But the thing is, your identity, it's got to be like sustainable. There's got to be like a default, like an imprint, and then you can make little subtle changes. For example, if we had a double pivot of, for example, I don't know, Fred and Donny van de Beek, just for argument's sake, then in certain games you'll take you wouldn't play Fred because it wouldn't be required. Then you'll just make this little change on Matic because we know we need to hold the ball more. We need to find players in the final third better, and the use of Matic. I just feel it's too like gung ho, and I feel there's no sustainability. People can say a win's a win, we got the result, but it catches up on you. It catches up on you, I promise you, and it will catch up on Man United without a doubt.
Neil, just to try and flip that argument that Was has made there, because it is a good point. It does look disjointed, but we did have periods last season where we did develop a bit of consistency, and we did have little spells where we'd say, okay, no, I can see what we're trying to do here. This is good. Do you think that maybe we're disjointed because, look, it might sound silly, but I think people need to realize that when you add 3 new players into a team, it does take a bit of time to gel and adapt, especially when you're sort of having to change the way you play because of Cristiano Ronaldo coming into the team. Do you think we need to give it a little bit of time to gel, or is it a bigger issue than that for you?
It's a bigger issue. It's a bigger issue because what we've had managers in the past, whether you've loved them or you've hated them, you know, and I'm talking since Ferguson left, but you knew what their philosophy was when they came into the club. And you could see, whether you liked it or not, you could see their philosophy imprinted on the teams that they put out. So that was the style of David Moyes, which you can see it's the same style he's got this West Ham team playing. That's what he had his system, and that's what he believed in. You had Van Gaal, he had his system, that's what he believed in, and you could see it, whether you liked it or not. That's not the point I'm getting at. The point is, Mourinho, and I've gone on record to say absolutely shocking decision to get him as manager, by the way. But you still saw his philosophy and you still saw the style of play. So you could see this is the team he sent out, and then you saw them fit the philosophy that he got. I haven't got a clue with Solskjaer's philosophy, and I've watched a lot of football. We've all watched football, but can you genuinely tell me what is Ollie's philosophy? He came out with some stuff the other day that he said, well, we've got creative players, we just let them get on with it. Well, what's the point of having a bleeding manager? You might as well be a Sunday League team if you got that. If you go out with that theory, there's 11 shirts. Right, pick a number, off you go, and you will work it out later. What are they coach these players? I still maintain today's results as papered over the cracks. And I did think of quite a good joke earlier when someone said that Dalot looked lost. He looked more lost than Henry was when he was trying to find the Holy Trinity before the game, which is a private joke on the WhatsApp group, by the way. So hopefully Henry will get that one. Because I'll just give a shout out to Henry. The Holy Trinity, by the way, was Best, Law, and what was the other guy's name? Yeah, Charlton. Yeah, he's got a stand named after him. So I just struggle with, and I know I'm going to get, there was comments that we made in our group that I was really sticking it to the team and the players, but it starts with the management, and I don't understand what Ollie's philosophy is. And I think this result will be a result that might get talked about at the end of the season, because we look, whether you like it or not, we look way off the pace. Way off the pace. Does anybody genuinely think that we're good enough to win the Champions League or the Premier League or the FA Cup? Because Ollie, in my mind, has to win a trophy. Has to win a trophy. And
sorry, just to jump in, I do agree with the half on the philosophy thing.
Yeah.
Like you can see that, Mourinho, Van Gaal, they had a style. Mourinho's was sit back, low block, counter attack.
Yeah.
Van Gaal's was possession. Now, I'd flip the argument slightly and go, we've seen Ollie's philosophy in spells. So when he first came in, it was high press, high energy, quick football, and go and attack. Whether that was counter attack, whether that was in control.
But where's that gone? Where's
exactly,
that gone?
that's the point. That's the
point, isn't it? Where's it gone?
That's the problem. Last season, we saw in a few games, we saw quick one-touch football and play.
Yeah,
My
bang.
question to Ollie would be, where's the consistency of that? Because we can see that's what you want to do, but why is it not coming out every time? Now, the issue has to be, again, we've discussed it several times on this channel, coaching. What are they being coached? Why isn't it going well? If the coaches aren't good enough, replace the coaches or add some good ones in there. If it's Ollie, then change the instructions you're giving them, because they're obviously not portraying it very well. Because you can say it goes down to the manager, and that is true. But my point would be, we've seen his philosophy in spells. So clearly there's a message there that's working, and it works well. Why is that message not being effectively passed on to those coaches, and why are they not implementing it well enough? Or that's where you have to look at it. The coaches either aren't good enough or the message isn't clear enough. That's what I would say. I think you can make those comments like Neil has done right now without it having to be Ollie out, Ollie in, Ollie out. I think you can just be sat in the middle and go, look, this isn't working well. This needs to change. Because everyone on this panel can agree Ollie's done a great job so far. He's done a great job so far. So he's done something right to get to this point. What do we do from here? That's the next challenge. And I think we can all agree we want to see Ollie succeed. So everyone in the comments, everyone who's watching this right now, I want you to just calm it down a little bit. Just calm it down a little bit. You can be unhappy with what we're doing right now. You can be critical of the manager. You can be critical of the team. But let's not drag this into, I want the manager in, I want the manager out. You're a dick for saying otherwise. Let's just calm it down. Marcus, I'll go to you next in terms of why this style of play isn't coming out consistently enough. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think I've touched on this a bit in the past, right? Like you make a great point there about saying that there definitely is a middle ground. And I always say this to people, like, the way you articulate your opinion is very important, because I think Manchester United do have a style of play. I just think it's very basic and naive. And I don't think that's unfair to say, because when Ollie played in his first 3 months, again, that was a honeymoon period. Managers have this all the time. We saw it with Jose Mourinho when he came to Tottenham. The first 3 months, they looked amazing. And then it all fell apart. There's so many examples of managers who come into a team in the first 3 months or the first few weeks. It looks great. They look, it's dazzling football. And then it all, kind of calms down. And that's because there's people in every club who get paid to study footage and watch other teams and find weaknesses and poke holes in their team. So as a manager, if you're not constantly adapting and tweaking your system and your style of play, you will fall behind, especially in the Premier League. You will get found out. And I think Ollie, after that first 3 months, he didn't have a plan B. He didn't have a way to play other than just being direct. His playing style is very direct. He just wants to get the ball to the edge of the box and shoot. And that's very basic. It's not sophisticated enough in the Premier League. You need more than that. You need to be methodical. You need to draw defenders out of position. You need to create space for your fullbacks to come around, overlap, and hit across. You need to open up spaces in between the lines and get the ball into your number 9. And again, we saw today, we played so many long balls. That is the philosophy. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be mean to Ollie, but that's the evidence. We play so many long balls. And at first I was like, maybe it's Bruno. Maybe people are right. Maybe Bruno's the problem. But today, Varane played a long ball. Lindelof played a long ball. So it ain't just Bruno, is it, who's going for the risky passes? Everyone does it. Pogba literally plays in the middle because of his passing range. That's the only reason he plays in the middle, because he's not good defensively. So the only reason Pogba starts in the middle, especially against a low block, is because Ollie knows his passing range is going to be useful. His best assists against Leeds at the beginning of the season, when we beat them 5-1, came from the middle, when he drifted in off the left and he smacked it across to Bruno. And I just think that for me, there needs to be an evolution of the tactics. And I was very optimistic 2 weeks ago, but I was optimistic on the premise that we were going to see change. If we don't see change, I won't just be blindly optimistic. I will call it out. I will say, what are we doing here? Because Villarreal are a team that are nowhere near the quality of Manchester United. And yes, they are a good team on their day. They are a frustrating team to play. That's why they have so many draws at the beginning of the season. But Unai Emery didn't get backed. He won the Europa League. Unai Emery didn't get his priority signings. He's been able to accomplish something that you can say, like, look, this guy has done something. Whereas with Oli, yes, he's built a great squad. Yes, he's restored the morale of the team. But where it actually matters in terms of results, he hasn't really done much apart from finishing top 4. And I just start to question whether or not it's good enough. But we're not going to go down that road because obviously it's not Oli in or Oli out. I just think, in short, our philosophy is long ball. It's just long ball FC. And we need to be more sophisticated in that. We need to change it. We need to add some depth to it. He needs a plan B because you can tell in games, especially when we go 1-0 down, all of a sudden we start playing football. And it's like, why don't we do that consistently? It's almost as if the players are like, you know what? We're tired of this. Let's just take charge. Because I never see Oli like on the touchline yelling something and then suddenly there's a change. No, usually it's when we go 1-0 down and then suddenly we play a different brand. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed in the second half, we didn't play as many long balls when we went 1-0 down. We started to get the ball on the edge of the box. We started to actually look like a team that was, desperate to score. And it's just very odd. I'm sure Oli knows this, but why isn't he changing it? And I don't know.
I think again, it's something that I partially agree with you there, because it is clear that we do have instructions to say, look, when you see a run, when you see a certain type of run, because it seems to be the same kind of run that we look for. If you see that run, play it long, and we go, okay, sound. Yeah. But then I agree with you also in the fact that it needs to evolve a little bit. Now, when you say we're long ball FC, I agree with what you said before that when you said we're direct FC. I think that's what we are. And direct doesn't necessarily mean a long ball. It could be, trying to gamble on a 1v1 or a 2v1, something like that.
That's true.
And I think that's what we are. And I think a comment said it earlier. He seems to try and produce 2008, but we don't have that level of players, so we can't do that. And I think you're right. We need to either adapt to one and have a plan B, or be adaptable to several. Because if we're going to play long ball, then have the players to do that. You play the players to do that. If you're going to play long ball, stick Cavani and Ronaldo up top, go 4-4-2 and smash it into them all day long. But we don't have that. If you're going to play 4-3-3 and try and play some football, stick Matic or Fred or McTominay or anyone in there. Stick Van der Beek in the middle. Let him spray the ball about if we're going to play against a low block. It just seems like that part of it isn't quite clear at this moment in time. Tom, what do you make of that? Do you agree with Marcus? Do you have anything to add on to that?
Look, I think all the points everyone has just made are completely right in regards to the philosophy, and that's criticism we can point at Solskjaer. Just in my opinion, though, as a sort of former player, I just look at it and everything is completely right. I just think we, at times, overlies this word philosophy. If we weigh up sort of pros and cons, yes, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho had it. However, that took us backwards. Okay, that took us to consistently finish in 5th, 6th, 7th in the league. Solskjaer's lack of philosophy has sort of promoted us to consistent finishes as 2nd and 3rd in the league. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the trophies to back that up. That is a stick we can obviously beat him with. And he doesn't have that imprint, but I think are we going to complain if we win a trophy without a philosophy? I completely agree, and it's a criticism of Solskjaer, and I think it's definitely, you don't put him in that category of great managers like Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, whatever we think of them. So we can take that part away from his management sort of ability, but there are so many other positives. So it's a balance act. Do we want the positives that he's doing off the field and his man management? Well, the price you're going to have to pay, you might not have that so-called philosophy. You can get the philosophy under Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, but it's going to cause issues elsewhere. So it's a balancing act. The criticisms are 100% valid, but I'm not going to get too worked up over it because there are plenty of positives. But the criticisms are definitely valid.
Yeah, I don't want this to become too negative of a show. Of course, we've won a game, so let's try and get some positives out of it. Were the substitutions okay for you? Because, I mean, they seemed effective. Fred comes on, plays left back for some reason, and gets a good cross into the box, which leads to the goal. And Lingard, I thought, was quite active and helped out a little bit more.
Yeah, the goal is just a moment of play, isn't it? It's just in that instance, none of us here would have said United would have done this, they would have done this, and then we would have scored from the back post. It's just off the cuff how it happens in that in that moment. The thing is, though, when Ollie first arrived, or when he played the 4-3-3 system, and the football it was pretty much exciting to watch. There was understanding, there was chemistry in midfield with Matic, Herrera, Pogba. But I don't understand why he didn't make signings in a line with his system. Because we signed Harry Maguire, and Carter, you well know, with a high line, Harry Maguire he's risky. You know what happened against Newcastle? He will be isolated in those situations, like near the halfway line. So we can't push as high. Wan-Bissaka, if you want to play fullbacks comfortable in the ball, you don't sign Wan-Bissaka. So the question's got to be asked. In that midfield, sometimes it's your personnel. You know, if you play Bruno and Pogba, they're direct footballers. They're not going to recycle the ball. They're not going to go sideways to go backwards a bit, to go sideways just to keep it for 5-10 minutes, take the sting out of the game. They don't do that. They go direct. And that's where I feel we don't utilize Donny enough. And I don't feel Ollie makes the big decision in terms of Fernandes and Pogba. I think he is trying to get them both in the team, but at the detriment of the team and performances. Yes, we'll get that cross from Fernandes or the shot from Pogba, but long term, it just feels like it's just moments. People say, "What's Ollie's philosophy?" Ollie explained his philosophy on that clip where some presenter asked him, "What's your style of play?" And then he goes to play like fast attacking football, but to counter quickly. And then he goes to counter quickly. Then he goes, "Great Man United sides countered quickly, but great Man United sides dominate the ball." Neil, you fully well know they dominate the ball. Paul Scholes, Michael Carrick, they could not. Ryan Giggs would even took in as a third centre mid. Go on.
We under Ferguson. Now it's a great point you've made. Under Ferguson, we were one of the best. We were probably the best side in the world without the ball. This team, just way off the pace when it comes to stuff like that. And it's back to this philosophy word. I know we shouldn't overuse it, but it's true. It's out there. It's something we've got to worry about.
Yeah, because look, even Ollie said, he goes, I always think of moments. I always think of individual moments when I think of United. So then when Green was taking those countless shots on and Lingard's taking those numerous shots in the League Cup game, and fans were frustrated, is Ollie actually frustrated with that? Do you see Ollie come to the touchline? I think he did it to remember City away, and he goes to Lingard. I think like a year ago, do that again or lose the ball again, you're off. Neil, has he done that in previous games? He hasn't. I've not seen it. You've not seen it. There's so many cameras. No one misses anything these days, and we're not seeing it. It's like Ollie's keeping them on long enough to do that. And then we talk about the long balls in the flanks. There is a valid argument to that. That's why Rashford is very important to Ollie's system. Good luck putting Ronaldo there. Ronaldo's not going to chase the ball. There's one ball that I think Matic played, and then Ronaldo goes to feet, and he just left it. It was like 80 minute or something. So I don't even think Ronaldo Cavani is going to work. I think that's very unlikely to work. Very, very unlikely. You with Ronaldo already, you're carrying someone that's not going to put much defensive work in. Pogba, although he tries a bit defensively, he's easily played around because he's not mobile. Let's be honest. Fernandes is okay, but he lacks discipline. Sometimes he goes on a one-man press, which just leaves the whole midfield just open. You just stay in your position and you just keep your positions. Yeah, that's it really.
No, Neil, you look like you're about to jump in there. Go on.
No, he's good, isn't he, Mr. Analytics? I like it. I tell you, I'm on with some brains tonight. Me acting like a dick. I might have to change this. I'm on the. No. Well, you haven't seen me in real life. You wouldn't believe I'm a judge, but no, it makes a really, really sense what he just said there. This isn't Ollie bashing. It's just let's look at it and let's see what we can. It's fact. It's more based on fact than Ollie bashing. Yeah. We all want the best for this club. We all want the best for this club. I'm not. Whoever's the manager at this club, get a lot. Possibly, I'd add it for Mourinho from day one. But you support the club thick and thin. But he's made some real good points there about the type of players we signed to fit in a so-called philosophy. I mean, on the Wan-Bissaka thing, I thought he was a great signing because I think he's a great defender. I think he's a brilliant defender. And that's the most important thing to me with defenders. We keep a clean sheet. We've only got to score 1 to win, but we're going into games looking exposed, straight down the middle of the pitch, because we seem to be all over the shop. So he makes valid points, Mr. Analytics. That's what I'm going to call. That's what I'm going to call you now.
It's okay. Say what you want. Even Kartik, you do see, when Bissaka plays, he don't advance as much. So it's almost we have like 3 at the back. But with today, it was almost like 2 attacking fullbacks and 2 centre backs, and that just it just left us exposed. And obviously with Bissaka, he does have his like deficiencies, but when you've got Shaw, Maguire, Varane, Bissaka, that's a good defense. That is a very solid. Yeah. That's a Premier League winning defense, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And with Wan-Bissaka as well, we know he's good in 1v1s, as Marcus touched earlier. We know he has some deficiencies in terms of he tucks in, but I've seen him tuck in less this season with Varane being there. I think maybe he tucked in to double up with Lindelof because Ollie doesn't trust Lindelof in the air, so he thinks 2v1 is better. Yep. But
Ian Rush is on the fucking teller. I hate that bastard. It's fucking hating. So I'm going to I'm going to keep talking and make a cup of tea at the same time.
That sounds good. No, what I will say about what we've spoken about so far, I think Neil hit the nail on the head there, saying, we're not Ollie bashing here. We're talking facts and we're talking what's in front of us. No one in this panel so far has said that Ollie needs to go. Every single person on this panel has said this needs to be sorted, this needs to be sorted, and we'll be fine. And I think that's the mentality we need to go into this with. On that Wan-Bissaka thing, actually, Marcus, did you notice that? I don't want to say it lacked balance on the right-hand side, because we lack balance on the right-hand side anyway. I personally think that when Jadon Sancho goes onto that right-hand side when Marcus is back, we'll be a much better team, simply because there'll be balance. Also, Brown Knight, yes, he hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Do you agree with that? Do you think we'll be a lot better with Jadon on that side? Because today, I thought both of our wingers were very predictable, and I think that was part of why we weren't very creative. Is that what you saw it like as well?
Yeah, I just think with Sancho, it's an interesting one, because when he was playing at Dortmund, I thought he was kind of the vocal point of Dortmund. Like when he wasn't there with Dortmund, you could notice the difference, right? Him and Haaland were definitely the talisman in that team. And I think when he's come to United, because there's so many star players around him, he's found it difficult to kind of simplify his game. He's so used to being on the ball and having the creative license to get past people, etc., etc. But at United, he doesn't really get that much of the ball as much as he did at Dortmund. And I feel like he's struggling with that. And I think it's going to take him some time to adapt. But I do feel like him playing on the right will definitely be better. The one thing I will say, though, is with Wan-Bissaka and even with Shaw, I saw it sometimes, right? If they can get into a partnership with the winger that they play with on a consistent basis, I think the understanding will be so much better, because when Rashford and Shaw play together, you can see the understanding, right? We play so many more crosses on that left-hand side because the overlap from Shaw, Rashford knows it's coming. And that's kind of coaching. That's training. That's habit, right? That's something that I think Ollie did well. I actually wanted to say earlier, I just forgot, right? That's one thing Ollie's play style has done really well over the last couple of years. The one thing I've noticed is when our fullbacks do bomb forward, usually, as long as they're playing with the right partner in the wing, they're able to get onto that overlap and whipping across. And we were just missing that number 9. Obviously Cavani was there from time to time, but it was mainly Martial. We were missing that number 9 to sort of finish the chance. So I think now, if Sancho is going to play on that right-hand side and Wan-Bissaka is going to play on the right-hand side, Ollie needs to be patient and give them the time to build their chemistry together. And then they need a whipping crosser to Ronaldo. Just cross and pray, and just let Ronaldo deal with it. And I think that was one of my biggest criticisms of today. Like, a lot of people talk about how Delo is so good going forward and how good Telles is going forward. Even in the FL Cup, a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to see so many crosses now. Oh, Telles is going to whip one into Ronaldo. And I was like, where are these crosses? Because Telles took a couple of, shots, made some decisions where I was scratching my head. And I just, I think a lot of that has to do with who their partner is in the right wing. So, I think Sancho's got to play on the right-hand side.
Dallo
and he's got to give him time.
Road. Dallo couldn't have crossed the road tonight. It's fucking useless.
I want to answer this question here from I think that's the first I know anyway. Based on tonight's match, do you think Bruno's captain material? I'll answer that first before I go to Tom. No. I've always said he's not, simply because he might be a leader by example in terms of the way he plays, and he goes and he's a talisman, but he's not a leader in terms of how he acts, because I've seen him too many times have a moan. His head just absolutely goes. He's always getting involved in some kind of stupid argument with the ref, and I'm just like, no, that's not captain material. But I'd love to hear what you think, Tom.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think 99% of the people I've had this debate with, because it seems to pop up every time he does sort of wear the armband and Maguire's out, everyone says he is our captain, and I completely agree. He's not the captain for me, and I think he has great leadership qualities. I think he's a great leader on the field. However, I put myself in a position, if I was a player and I misplace a pass, if Bruno Fernandes has a go at me for misplacing the pass, I'm thinking, hang on, what have you done with your last 15 passes? Like, you've got to lead by example. You can't tell me to do this, and then you're sort of careless with the ball. So I think let Bruno lead in his own way. Let him do what he does, but giving him that extra responsibility as the captain's armband, it's needless for me. Look, in a game like this, yeah, he can come in and wear the armband. That's fine. But as a club captain, I don't see it as a viable option, because he will ruffle feathers in terms of other players. So look, one off, no issue. He's a great leader in my opinion. Man United captain, not for me.
No, I thought we did miss Harry Maguire, our actual club captain. Was how much do you think we missed him in today's game?
Yeah, I do believe so. We've missed him, but he's not necessarily been in the best of form. Obviously, with Maguire, with Maguire is a for me, he's a good player, and then when he's on form, he's a very good player. He can touch world class at times, but I think that's his barrier. I think when you watch Varane, you see what world class is, and then I think Maguire is just under that, but he's still a very good defender in my opinion, and I don't buy any of that all the nonsense like fridge and all that rubbish that I see on Twitter. I don't buy into it at all, because he is a good player. So I do feel his Ashori at the back miss sometimes, and you do feel that he's a leader. I think he's grown into his leadership role as well from when he started. So yeah, I think he was somewhat missed, but it's not necessarily the defense that were conceding chances. It was the open midfield that were conceding chances, and then more on the low side. It wasn't really on Maguire's side if he was playing. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I thought even if Maguire had played, I don't think it would have been a case of we'd have been a lot better defensively, because I didn't think the defence made that many errors. I think maybe one time Varane made a little dodgy mistake, but are we really going to go and shout at Rafael Varane? No, we're not. I think a lot of the play came down the right-hand side, and if it was Wan-Bissaka, I think we actually cut short a lot of Villarreal's chances today. Is that fair to say, Neil?
Yeah, sorry, you broke up a bit there, Kartik. Can you just repeat the last 40 minutes?
Yeah, sorry, I said.
You're... no.
I said. Do you think there's chances to cut short a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with the Maguire thing, I think his presence on the pitch is missed.
Yeah,
because that first half, I don't believe it would have been as bad as it was if Maguire had been there. He just sort of rallied the troops, so to speak. I know it's all a cliche, and I normally avoid cliches like the plague, but you didn't get that one, did you? You lot are useless. Come on, keep up. So I think we just missed his presence on the pitch. I don't think it would have been as bad a first half performance. That's where I think Maguire. That's where I think he's important, because I think he's a genuine captain. When he's not in the team, God knows who could be, based on that 11 that was sent out tonight. I'm not sure. I'm not sure there is one. I'd probably be the keeper, but he's not the most vocal of people anyway. But all this captain talk, sometimes I think it's over. They should be dying to win anyway, regardless of who's the bloody captain. But I think we miss his actual presence.
No, I agree with that. Actually, I thought presence is a good word to describe. I've just seen Brown Knight's comment, so I will in fact do that. We played 4-3-3 today with one holding midfielder, and we were very shaky. So clearly, we were playing the wrong holding midfielder. Oh, don't lag now. Don't lag now. Here we go. Yes, I'm back now, so I can carry on. We were playing the wrong holding midfielder today, and I think we all on this channel know who needs to play in that holding midfield role. Yes.
Oh.
Once again, I am plugging the hashtag Phil Jones in the Six movement. Make sure to spread the word. We do need Phil Jones. Philip Jones needs to be our midfield solution. Thank you very much.
He wouldn't get, no offence to the ladies, but he wouldn't get in their team.
Oh dear, right? No, we're not.
I mean, he wouldn't pass the
think
medical.
that's-
To be fair,
I don't think that's offensive.
No, I mean that's the point. He'd probably get outpaced as well.
But no, yes, he would get into our number 6 position. Everyone, make sure to tweet me with hashtag Phil Jones at the 6. Thank you very much.
I'm never going to do that, by the way, ever in my life. There isn't enough wine in majestic wine stores for me to ever send that tweet to you. By the way, it is never going to happen.
That's what they all say.
No,
Kennan
seriously.
says Jones in the 6 and taking the corners. Don't be silly. What a ridiculous statement. Taking corners
and then heading it in.
Right, we're close to wrapping up the show, so we'll get final thoughts from everyone. Marcus, can we build on that win?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I'm not going to lie. It's a difficult one. Every time I come on here, I try to be optimistic. I really do. But today, I can't find the positive. I'm going to be honest. And the reason why I say that is because I know he'll go back to playing McFred at the weekend. And you guys know how much I hate McFred, so we're not going to go down that road. I think the one takeaway from tonight is we're going to get bailed up because we're better individuals. You know, maybe we'll scam our way to a trophy. Who knows? You know, because I'm not complaining. If we scam our way to a trophy, I'm not complaining. Do I think it will happen? No. Do I want it to happen? Yes. And am I willing? I mean, you know, whether I like it or not, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be here for however long, right? So I'm just going to back it, man. I'm just going to back it. And my final thoughts on that game is I'm glad we got the win. I'm relieved we did not lose that game or draw that game. You know, that was the most important thing, was just getting over the line, you know. Nothing would have been worse than losing that game. So, yeah.
Yeah. Tom, over to you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, can we sort of build on it? I think, can we? That's another question. I think we have to. We definitely have to. And I just think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he reverts back against Everton, especially in that midfield area, whether Fred does come back in. But I thought Nemanja Matic was good when he came on. So it is a selection headache. Unfortunately, this headache for Solskjaer, he doesn't really see it as a headache. He just sort of reverts back to type. But at the end of the day, look, I haven't gone back and watched the replays. At the end of the day, Ronaldo scored a 95th minute winner in the Champions League in front of the Stratford end. I want to go celebrate that. Like, I understand all the frustrations and I share all the frustrations. And I hate the term sort of moments FC and the way that's thrown about as a criticism. And it's valid at times, but that's what you support football for. That's part of Man United, those moments. So I'm off to watch the Ronaldo highlights again. It was a good game for me in terms of the emotion at the end. It could have been a very different feeling at the end, but Man United have won in the Champions League. I'm all for that.
Yeah. Was, your final thoughts?
The thing is, when we played West Ham away, I thought in the second half we played fairly well. I thought the defensive line, I thought it was at a good position, like just probably short of the halfway line. I felt we pressed West Ham and it like harried them in possession. So when they kicked it long, all we did was win the first duel and then recycle possession, and then we sustained attacks. But then everyone said after West Ham we're going to build on it. We lost to Villa the next week. Do you get what I mean? So tonight, what we did, you can't build on that performance. You can't. That Teller's goal, the Ronaldo goal back post, is not something that you're going to take into the next game. We can build on the sorry to interrupt, but we can build on. I hate the word moment, but in terms of we were on the verge of losing 4 games in a row, we'd lost 3 games in a row. Like, there is the tactical side of things, but in terms of just the feeling the players and the managers would have had, they'd be on confidence. This is something that it might not, but mentally it might shift something. Whether that turns out to be the case or not, who knows? The boost it will give the players and some of the fan base, especially those at Old Trafford. Of course, it's gonna lift the players, but football's not entirely won on that. You've got to play football. Like, if you can have Ronaldo up front, if he's starved of service, he's just gonna be a lonely man up front, and he's the greatest goal scorer of all time. It's like you had the actual match. It matters. So can we build on that? I don't know. What I do know is I don't think Ollie's going to get sacked anytime soon. If he lost today and maybe lost Everton, and then maybe in the international break he possibly may have got sacked. But obviously this result is just probably maybe delayed the inevitable, or he's got to improve on areas we've spoken of. None of us here, Kartik, Marcus, Tom, Neil, none of us go into a game where we want Ollie or the team to underperform, and we want Manchester United to win. We pay money to watch Manchester United. We spend our evenings watching Manchester United when we have so much stuff in our personal lives going on. Like, we want the best for our club, but I support the manager until it's at the detriment of the club. And I don't think we're there yet, and I don't want us to be there. I want us to address problematic issues that we've got and address those and then build from there. I don't want Ollie to lose next 2 games and get sacked. I want Ollie to look, we've got this problem. Let's address this, and then let's put a better performance out. And then on average, if our consistency of performance, for example, is a 7 out of 10, we will in general get more consistency, better results. But yeah, we've got Everton on the weekend. I hope for a good performance and a win. But yeah, that's it at the moment.
Yeah, Neil, final thoughts from you, mate?
Well, the first one's a quick shout out to Mr. Henry Bartlett. When any previous mentions of words like Stretford End, that's in the ground at Old Trafford, because I know we need to educate Mr. Bartlett. And I'm never ever going to let up on this, by the way.
For context, Henry didn't know where the Trinity statue was.
The lads were meeting, and so they said they're at the Holy Trinity. Henry didn't know what the Holy Trinity was. I think he thought it was a church. So he's obviously wandering around Salford looking for a church. So we just need to help Henry out while we explain that we play in red. But as regards to the result today, I think it's exactly right what Mr. Analytics has just said. I don't see how we can take that on. I just think, like I said at the start, I think today's result may have just papered over the cracks. I think Everton are going to be a tough, we've got a good record at Everton, against Everton, but I worry that the next 3 games, we got some massive games coming up. I think we've got, Everton, Leicester and Liverpool, right? Are those the next 3 league games?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that could be the season there. Forget because I don't see us winning the Champions League, but that could be any chance of us. That could be the season there, and that's what I worry about. He's exactly right, Mr. Analytics. I don't
know why anyone. Oh, bye, Neil. As I was about to say, I don't know why anyone would claim we're going to win the Champions League. Like, who does that? I'm going to wrap up the show there because I think Neil's just decided to do one. Hang on, no, he's back.
Yeah,
go on, Neil. Finish that thought.
No, yeah, but I just worry about the next 3 games. I think it's enormous. I think there was an enormous outpouring of relief today at that result. I think that was, I know there's a lot of exultation about the result, but my first emotion was, thank God we got that out of the way. And now we go on to the next one. And that's genuinely how I felt. It was, it's just relief that we got that out of the way. I hate sounding negative about it in my club. I love this fucking club.
So do I. We just played Fred at left back. What a club. No other club would do that. What a club. I'm going to wrap up the show there.
We also played Darlow at right back as well, by the way.
Right. Nice one, everyone, for coming on. Cheers to the panel. You've been absolutely brilliant, by the way. What a show. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to share, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I will give my final thoughts before we go. Hopefully, I won't like too much during this, but we'll see. End of the day, we've won a game, lads. Everyone is going to complain about, individual moments, this and that. Yeah, okay, sure. We're not being consistent. We're not being quality over 90 minutes. Yeah, we can acknowledge that. But if you're going to sit there and be upset because we've won a game, because your point of view and your stance on a particular issue, isn't being proven right just yet, well, you need to give your head a fucking wobble because your football team just won a game. So try and enjoy that. If you've just watched Cristiano fucking Ronaldo score a 95th minute winner at the Stretford End and you're thinking, shit, he's kept Ollie in the job, give your head a wobble. Football's not for you. You can be critical of the manager. You can be upset at the style of play. You can be upset at everything. But do not put that over the club winning games. That just isn't how it's done. Make sure you're behind this manager. Make sure you constructively criticize this team, because the moment you start wishing for that team to lose, you've forgotten what football's about. Yes, individual moments. That's what we're relying on. Well, I'm going to enjoy this fucking moment because it feels fucking good. I screamed like a little girl when that goal went in because I was like, fucking hell, I can't believe we won this game. Because
that doesn't surprise me, by the way, Carter. You screaming like a little girl.
I don't think it would. So, but I've lagged. Hang on, I'll wait. Here we go. Yeah. So, end of the day, just try and enjoy the result. Yeah, we're not playing brilliantly, but it can only get better. That's the thing I'd say. We can only get better from this performance. If it doesn't, then I'll throw my hands up and we've lost 6-0. So sound. But no, I hope you all have enjoyed this match reaction show. Loads of good points today. Make sure to like the damn video if you've enjoyed the fact that we won a game. How many people will like that video then? Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here because we've got more content like this coming up. Subscribe as well. Make sure to comment below what you thought on the game. I do read the comments, so make sure you do that. At the end of the day, we've won a game of football. We're still in the Champions League. We still have a chance of going through. Is he going to say it? Should I say it? No.
No.
We're going to win the Champions League. See you later.